everyone. Welcome to another episode of Cryptocurrent. Your host here, Richard Carthon. And today I have a special guest all the way out in Tel Aviv working on a extremely cool project that you need to be learning more about, that I'm excited to learn more about. We have Asaf with Carabo. How you doing today?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, before we dive into Carabo, first want to learn more about you. Give us some background on yourself.
Okay, so I'm Asaf Naim, Kirobo CEO. I'm in my background, I'm an accountant. I have a master's degree in taxation. And I taught myself how to program. So this is how, my friend has a tax office, and he knows that I know to program, and he has like a few customers that turned to him way back in 2014 about crypto, and he said maybe you should you know more than me. So right. This is how I go into the crypto world, and basically this is how I start my journey. I learn about that, and I fascinated about that, and this is how we start.
Got it. So 2014, you first learned about it and you start to go along your journey, but what made you start your company Carabo? So like, tell us what it is and how did you get from the concept to where it is today?
Okay. So basically we have a few clients that made a mistake, human mistake. So for example, one of these guys sent 200,000 USD to their own address. So, and it was like, I was shocked that this has happened. This could happen. So this is the first problem that we see. And the other problem that someone lost access to his wallet. So I thought, this is a problem that needs to deal with. So I found my partner, my technical partner, Tal, and we established the company. The first product that we have is the undo button. We work on I like to say, we develop buttons, but we work on a few different technology. The first one is the undo button. So if you made a mistake, you can retrieve the money back. And it goes with very simple method. Basically, this is a unique transaction with passcode. When I send you the money is leaving my wallet, and then you need to type the right passcode. As long as you didn't type the right passcode, I can retrieve the money back. Once you type the right passcode, that's it. I cannot retrieve the money anymore. So this is the first button that we launch. The second button is the peer-to-peer swap button. I don't know if you know, but if you go to Uniswap, for example, and you try to purchase some token, so you see that there is a slippage, and the slippage is massive, by the way. Like if you,
right.
Like let's say that you buy 100 Ether, so the slippage is huge. So I thought people should do it peer-to-peer. But the problem is no one is like, who's going to send first, right? If I'm going to send you and you send me, assuming that we don't know each other, so there is no reason that there is no way that I will send this transaction. This is why people using OTC or Uniswap, because it's a safe way to do that. But with the peer-to-peer swap, it's actually different, because I can send it to you, and if you didn't send me, I can cancel my transaction. And if you send me, so the transaction is valid, and both of the side get the money. And by the way, in 2 weeks we will launch the basically the board, so you can publish a transaction, and people can immediately send you the money, and you can complete the transaction, because currently it's done by a Telegram group. So and I think this will create a massive impact on the market.
No doubt. So I want to spend time a little bit on each of them. So first, we're going to start with the undo button. So previously coming on this call, I got to see it myself. And the major challenge that you're talking about is for a lot of newbies and people who are trying to send money for the first time. It's very scary. And if you mess up, again, it's a one-way transaction. So once you send it, doesn't mean you can pull it back. So you've basically been able to create this called undo button where now you can send a transaction. A person can then go and validate that, yes, that is indeed my address, and then basically give you a passcode. And then once you put in the passcode, the transaction goes through. Again, I got to witness this firsthand, and I thought this is extremely cool and a very safe way for your first entry into crypto, being that safe transaction where you don't necessarily have to worry about your money being sent to the wrong place. Go ahead.
You're right. I have to say that, when we try to figure out who is the customer, so initially we thought it's only the newbies. But then I'm sad to say that I sent 3 million Cairo, our coin, to the wrong address. It's not actually a wrong address, it's the right address, but this is not an address that supports the specific token, and the token is stuck. And I see guys that made the mistake that have a lot of experience. For example, someone sent 220,000 USD to the wrong address, and he's coming to the group and start talking about that. So I was really, anxious to know how it's happened. So I told him, I asked him how it's happened. So he said, listen, I go to Dexter and I search for specific addresses that make a unique transaction. And suddenly I see a transaction that I really appreciate and want to do the same transaction. So I transfer my money from Binance to my address. But basically I transfer to the address that I watched.
Oh, no.
So basically he transferred 220,000 USD to the wrong address. Now, let's stop it for 1 second and imagine that, this guy wake up in the morning, brush his teeth, got a cup of coffee, and then he searched for a unique thing to do in order to make some money. And then suddenly, boom, 220,000 USD is lost. Imagine how we feel. So this is, sorry about that. So this is what happened actually on the blockchain every day. And by the way, so far people transferred through our system almost $1.6 billion.
Wow.
And about 0.6% out of them retrieve. So people got back. So we estimate that this is what happened on the real world. So if we compare that to Bitcoin, it's like $35 million a day that people make mistake. And when you do a mistake, you don't publish this on Facebook, right?
Right. Yeah, that's not something that people are sharing more often. And I really think this is a wake-up call for a lot of people. And a lot of people that are listening to this show are probably going to have a use case where that happened. For example, I can relate to that as well. I have sent a significant amount of money to not necessarily the wrong address, but forgetting a unique UID code. I think I was trying to transfer my EOS from one address to another, and I forgot that special extra thing you're supposed to add, and all of it's gone. So just anytime, and especially for me, the first time that I send any type of new blockchain from one currency to another, especially if it's a significant amount, I always try to send the bare minimum just so I can make sure it's going to the right place. So what this is doing, what the undo button allows you to do is even if you want to, your first time send a significant amount of money and make sure it's going to the right place, you can have the confidence that if you mess up, you can at least undo it and get your money back. And that
exactly,
is extremely powerful.
Someone invested in a company a few months ago. I think it was $1.2 million. So he said, should I, and all the investors go through the system. So he said, should I make a test transaction? So I said, no, you don't need to do test transaction. If you made a mistake, you can retrieve. And by the way, yesterday, I sent about 4,200 USD to someone. And suddenly my secretary called me and she said, it's the wrong address. It's not a huge amount.
Right.
But this is
still.
it's still, and it's happened every day. And by the way, I will tell you a secret. I think the bank industry will implement this technology in the fiat market, because even in fiat market, there is a lot of mistake when you send in money. and crypto is basic.
It's a really interesting point that you bring up there. And yes, one of the things that you lose with this is speed, but if that means that you're not losing your money, people are willing to take that extra step. Like in some scenarios, you do want to have that speed to move quickly, but in others, you want it to be safe. Like one of the reasons, even though it is an absolute pain in traditional finance, if you send a wire and it takes 5 to 8 business days and everything else, they do everything to make sure it's going to the right place. They're getting the exact number. They're doing all the checks, all that stuff. And in crypto, yes, you can send it instantaneously, but you can also instantaneously lose all your money. So again, I think this is just another good check, another safe way and securely move your money. So really cool product.
I have to say that I don't see the speed issue because first of all, the speed is like regular speed, but most of the guys do 2 transactions. So it's basically much faster. And about B2B that you mentioned, so we have a few B2B deals that we signed lately. And they ask to add a list, an address book that you can upload to the system. So we build a B2B version of the system, so you can upload the addresses and write notes and everything, and you can send. And again, we are not a custodian. We never touch the money. There is no way, for example, let's say that you send $1 million, and 1 second after that, the server is down. So the recipient will not be able to collect the money, but the sender can always retrieve the money because the control is on the sender. And this is unique way that we build the system because we thought that custodian is not the right approach.
Yeah, and I think that's the right call. And given the power to the person sending the money, especially through all this transaction, is definitely, I think, the right approach. It gives them a lot more control and it gives them a lot more of that security of knowing that they are driving what's going on through this transaction. I kind of want to spend more time on the P2P piece of it, right? So the person to person, you're helping to solve that. Can we kind of just walk through that a little bit more of, so me and you want to send each other money. Like you said, with Uniswap, you go and there's slippage. So if you're trying to send 300 ETH, you're not going to send 300 ETH. You're probably going to send like, I don't know, let's call it 295, 296 if you're lucky. So with the person to person, is it that instead of that slippage being so significant, now I'm able to send you actually 300, or is I'm sending you like 299 because of course there's gas fees and everything else? Like, how does that work?
So basically we need to decide on the price. Let's say that the 100 Ether is worth, let's say, I don't know, 400 Kiro. Okay. So we need to decide on that. And then you send the 100 Ether. You see that the Ether is going away from your account. And then I need to send the 400 Kiro. As long as I didn't send the 400 Kiro, you can cancel the transaction. So for example, let's say that I over delayed and now the price is changing and I don't want to do the deal, and you don't want to do the deal, you can cancel the transaction and nothing happened. And again, if I send the 400 Kiro and you cancel the transaction, my transaction will fail. So there is no a trust issue, and there is no way to the other party to feel unsafe or not secure. So,
right. So that's cool. So for example, let's say that I were to come to Tel Aviv and I was trying to get into the local currency, and I have some ETH that I'm willing to use. So let's say that I want to sell 2 of my ETH for, let's call it 1,000 of the local dollars, right? So basically I would send my 2 ETH, and then as soon as you then upload the local currency in crypto, once they both enter to that P2P peer, that's when they would then shift. But let's say that, I say I want the 2 ETH but I want it for 1,000, but all of a sudden now it's worth 800. Now that person doesn't want to do it. They cancel it. I get my 2 ETH and they get their money back, or they just never send it. Okay.
Exactly.
No, I think that's it's very powerful. So thank you for breaking that down. And then I want to spend time on the last one. So can you explain one more time, like what is that last element that you say you just dropped? So basically you can put a transaction.
Yeah, let's say that you understand now that, before we launch, so I take my team, the marketing team, because the technical guys already know that. So I said, guys, like 1 Ether was 4,000 Kiro, right? what will happen if I now type 100 Ether? How many Kiro will I receive? So everyone say 400,000. So I said, really? Let's see. And then we see it's 342. So they said, wow, that's amazing. So I said, okay, now I understand that. I'm going to the peer-to-peer swap. And what is the problem? I don't know. I don't have other party to swap with. And this is not a problem that exists on Uniswap. This is not like if you go to OTC, he find you the other party. So on the peer-to-peer swap, this is the problem. So when we launch, we just open a Telegram group that is meant to that. But now in hopefully we will release so I can come and say, I'm willing to sell 100 Ether and to buy 400,000 Kiro, for example. And then other party can come. They don't even know me. They don't even need to talk to me. And then they can see the order, then complete the order. If the price is already changed, I can cancel the order. So nothing happened.
Wow. Okay, got it. So that's where it's going to be super powerful, because now you're kind of creating that OTC, but of peer-to-peer places, right? So you have all these orders that are there and you're like, okay, I want to fill this one. So basically I now can see that one's there, able to help make that transaction happen. And now everyone
and by the way, you there is in bold way, you can see the difference between other DEX. So basically, before you swap, you know exactly how much you get if you go to other DEX. I don't want to mention names, and you know exactly how much you earn for this transaction.
Yeah.
And by the way, both sides will earn.
Both sides will earn. Got it.
Yeah, but because by the way, I said in the first example that I said 100 Ether for 400,000. So I said. So now you guys think that the seller, the guys that sell the 100 Ether sorry, the guys that send the 400,000 Kiro is losing, because on Uniswap it was 352. So I said, let's see what happened if he's going to sell 400,000 Kiro on Uniswap. So we switch the direction and put 400, and then they see he's only going to get 83 Ether instead of 100. So both sides win, because you do it OTC. You don't buy, you buy on the market price and you don't affect the price. And I think it's powerful.
No, that is powerful. So thanks for making that clear distinction. And I mean, obviously, Kirobo has very powerful tools, 3 different instances. Everyone listening, make sure you go and check that out. But one of the things that I think this is also has a lot of opportunity to, kind of like you were saying, is the DeFi space. So how do you think, as more companies are starting to develop more into decentralized finance, that they could be able to use a tool like Kirobo?
First of all, we are working on 2 major tools that we want to integrate. I cannot talk about that more than that, but hopefully in 2 months we will release and everyone see before we release and after we release. But I think that the DeFi move. I can only suggest you can understand between the world. So basically, most of the, like, if you see 2 years ago, so 2 years ago, most of the trade was on centralized exchange. And now we see a huge movement into the DeFi, meaning decentralized exchange, decentralized product. And let's say if you are on Coinbase and you have the problem and you lost the password or you lost something, so you can contact Coinbase and they will help you. But if you are doing that from your own wallet on DeFi, no one can help you. And this is increasing the problem. And people doesn't understand that. I don't know if you know, but people, sorry about that, but sometimes life is sucks. So people dying, and there is no one that can help them or the family if someone if someone died and never share his private key, and if someone lost access to his wallet. So I can only say that this is two issues that I need, that someone needs to deal with them. Someone needs to figure out how to solve them. And this is all I can say.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we'll keep it at that for now. And looks like in 2 months, there might be some more news on that. But man, you've been able to share a lot of information with us. I have two final fun questions as we kind of wrap up here. Is with all the information that you have right now, if you can impart two pieces of wisdom to yourself, what would you share?
I think I want to say about completely different side of the coin. So I see that a lot of government now are checking the option to issue a blockchain-based currency, and all of them are afraid of infecting or the bank system, because the bank system, if I have my own currency, I don't need the banks. And I can, my insight on that is that I don't think it's a problem, because today, if you have 100,000 USD on fiat money, so you put it in the bank take this money and give the other people like credit and stuff, and make a lot of money on that, and give you basically 0%. When the coin will be blockchain based, the bank will start chasing you and ask for you to put the money inside the bank. And the way to do that is by sharing their profit. So I think it will, the bank is still going to be there, but it will, the profit is going to be much reasonable than now. But I think the profit will also go to the actual owner of the coin.
Got it. So I think that's a cool call for the future, where we're headed with that. And I agree. As more banks are finding ways to get people to bring in their money so that they can share in the profits, everybody wins. Therefore, you start to get more money increase. But I, appreciate all the information you've dropped on us today. What's a final thought that you want to leave with all of our listeners?
My final thought is that you should go into DeFi. DeFi is the future. Do that, you will not regret.
Absolutely. Well, Asaf, I really appreciate all the time that you share with us. What are ways that people can connect with you and learn more about everything that's going on with Kirobo?
We have the website. They can read and they can use the system. And we have a token, but this token is not for a US citizen, Israeli or Canadian.
Got it. Well, no problem. We'll make sure to share all that information in our show notes. And again, we appreciate all the time that you spent with us today. And for everyone listening, stay cryptocurrent.